Hey everyone, it's Christine Gritmon here, and this is Social. I do the show every single week at Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, and I have a new setup today, so we may have some technical difficulties. In fact, it looks like I froze for a second there, but we'll see how it goes. And my guest today is Brian Wallace of NowSourcing, and Brian has been a guest before. He came on and he talked about LinkedIn Local, which he's very involved in, but today we're actually talking about HubSpot's Inbound conference, which he just attended. And give me a second, let me see if my volume here can be changed, because I feel like I'm too quiet, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I would love it if we have some viewers who could tell us kind of how the tech is going here, since I'm in a new setup. Anyway, this is Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey, I'm just sharing that we're on and that we're live, and I'm doing a watch party. If people still like watch parties, I think.
Yay, watch party! Mari Smith loves watch parties, so we all should, really.
That's right.
So tell us, had you been to Inbound before? Inbound, for those who don't know, is a conference run by HubSpot, which is a great company. So what years had you been to Inbound before?
Gosh, so this is I think my second. I thought for a minute it was my third, and then I thought better of it. But what's interesting, though, is I skipped a lot of years. You know how a lot of conferences, a lot of people skip like 1 year?
Yeah.
I must have skipped like 5.
Oh, man.
It is night and day. Holy cow. So according to, I think, almost official estimates, they're at around 26,000 attendees this year.
That's
insane.
Nuts.
Keep in mind,
Man.
This thing started in 2012. This isn't like 30 years old, so it's enormous.
And this is the year I didn't go, man. That's unfortunate. I decided to be there for the first day of kindergarten.
Going right now. Here, look, I have a badge on, but I'm really home.
I know, and we were talking before. I was saying that I was tempted to get my old Inbound badges, because it's actually one of the first big conferences I ever attended in 2016 and in 2017, and I spoke in 2018, which was great, but,
Awesome.
You know, first day of kindergarten. Priorities this year.
No doubt. And I mean, a lot of marketing conferences, it's like kindergarten for adults, right? Like I jumped into a ball pit. So
I love it. It's summer camp for adults. It's fantastic.
It really is. And there's swings on the front lawn and everything. Like it really is summer camp.
Though I don't get out there nearly enough, because when I'm at Inbound, I'm so focused on not only are there a bajillion sessions, but even when I went on the community pass and only got to really see the keynotes and spotlights, even that was worth it. There was just so much to absorb.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's never, and you don't have to go to a conference that has 26,000 people. Mm-hmm. You could go to a conference with a few hundred people or 100 people or even less than that and have tons of stuff to do. So, yeah, I mean, they have gotten to the point where it isn't even just the Boston Convention Center in the lawn anymore, but even the buildings. So it's not quite like a South by Southwest level, but I would say it's elevated to the status of a major world. And I would say, I don't know the exact stats on it, but there are many people that are not HubSpot customers at all, as much as it's...
Sorry, I didn't hear you for a little bit there, but that might just be my signal. Again, new setup. It's crazy. So...
all good.
But one thing I do want to definitely get to is, what are some of the standout speakers you saw and some of the lessons that really stuck?
Let's go with 2 on that. I wanted to see a lot more people, but you know how it goes when a lot of people know who you are on the internet. Everywhere I went, like everybody recognizes me. I got a yarmulke on. There aren't a lot of people walking around with that, so I'm really easy to spot in a crowd.
You're so cool, Brian.
I'm right, be interesting. Oh, I think it's saying live video. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
I just saw on my screen. I'm watching us. Yep. I think it keeps like interrupting or something, but we'll keep going. Hopefully
my tech is messy.
So I mean, I would go into conference sessions, and like before I could even walk out of the room, like 3-4 people would know who I am. I would go somewhere, and then like other people would spot me. So like sometimes at conferences like that, I mean, this is where I get to be the Wizard of Oz, where all my internet friends and all the people there, everybody is just talking about me, tagging me on every social channel. So sometimes I get a little overworked, and it's honestly kind of exhausting. But back to specific speakers, keynotes, and all that, they were enjoyed a lot, and interesting lessons. So Alexis Ohanian, for those of you who are the main founders of Reddit, also invests in a bunch of things. He's done a whole bunch of different interesting startups.
He's also Mr. Serena Williams, who spoke at Inbound a few years ago.
Yep. He's very well known for that too, which is kind of hilarious because they're both super celebrities, like in their own rights and circles. She's probably more famous, but I don't know. Maybe it's a toss-up. Anyway, he said something that I thought was very near and dear to my heart. Much like you stayed home, Labor Day, kids start in school. He talked a lot about parenting and fatherhood, which he talks a lot about. And something that I get passionate about if people ask me about this thing. But, you know, I have a whole bunch of kids, and I get seriously offended when people say that, like, a dad is a babysitter. Dads are not vacant parents. I mean, where he was talking all about how dads aren't babysitters and had different pictures up on the screen and all that. So I thought that was a great lesson.
Amen, Alexis.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I mean, I think everybody could easily, you know, he could talk about like his history at Reddit and all that stuff, and that's interesting. But it's good to see what the people stand for. And I feel like that's a message that's often left to the side in society. There's some circles and some websites that talk about it, but it's largely left out of conversation. That doesn't mean women aren't important. It doesn't mean that we can't talk about social issues. But like, hey, this is a stream of stuff. Well,
also, that contributes to women's rights as well.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, it's like people are parents. So if you are empowering men to be a parent, then you're allowing women to do a variety of different things.
It's not women's work.
Yeah, right. It's not women's work. There is no men's work in women's work. Get over it, people.
Love it.
So, all day long. That's a whole other hour, Christine. And everybody's going to need like a copay, and we're going to sit them all on the couch. But taking another turn. So yesterday, I was really looking forward to this one. I'm sure all of you have heard of Khan Academy. Check it out. It's an incredible kind of alternate learning on the internet. And there's a guy who just started making videos named Sal Khan. And he was really good at it. He was passionate about it. And he gave just an amazing speech. And then he was talking about like the early days of it. And he was talking about how friends of his were telling him that Bill Gates was like giving a lecture somewhere, talking about how like this random guy named Sal Khan and Khan Academy, he just like threw some 7th grader off a computer. He's like furiously like searching for it and found it. He played the video for us, and it was just such a nice moment. Then,
I love that.
Math anxiety, a lot of alternate learnings, people that don't get things right on the first try, and just how a lot of the school system fails people for a variety of reasons. Not to get too deep and too political or whatever on all that, but what I like about what he does, because this is free for everyone, you can empower and light up the world for people who have knowledge gaps that miss that structure to get a higher attainment of learning, especially in a thing like math, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know 1 + 1 and multiplication and division, you can't do algebra, you can't do calculus, you have to build a stack of knowledge. And that's just math, right? Then you have to go lateral to really get a super stack of knowledge to then actually do things for a living. What I loved about his presentation, he said that a bunch of like random schools and different, maybe homeschools, I don't know, just different groups all over the United States would randomly send Khan Academy all these videos. So you would watch all these kids like drum rolling on their desks as they watched the progress, where it showed like what percentage achievement they got and what grades they got. And it was like a party celebration.
I love that.
If you think about education and how we parent, tying back to Alexis, right? It's almost like a lot of we're all in a hurry. I got a big family, you got kids, you know how it is. And it's like we're all just like, a lot of times things go on autopilot, and we're just like whipping around taskmasters, and we get into a world of reward and punishment, but we go on the punishment side. What if you flipped it to be on a reward side, where it's like, look at this amazing progress, guys. And like you have, like if you ever have like a grade result thing, it's like, it's cool to watch. So if you got a 98, it's like counting up, and you're cheering on the grade. Like whoever, like, I don't know about you, Christine, but I never had that happen in school.
No.
Like, my parents thought it was nice, or the classmates were jealous if I had a better grade. And it's like, it's all this weird envy and anxiety, and it totally screws you up in the head later in life when it's time to not be graded, but to like actually do things professionally. So yeah,
you need to compete with yourself. You need to compete with yourself from yesterday. Exactly. And it sounds like the focus is more on celebrating what you have learned versus bemoaning what you have not yet mastered. And that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yep. And I mean, honestly, I think Inbound has done such a tremendous job with the level of speakers. I mean, I looked at multiple times of day, multiple days, where there were like 4 or 5 things I all wanted to do at the same time.
It was so hard.
Yep. They also, I'll tell you, in the past, I always saw they did a lot of musical events. They got rid of that because people have very particular taste in music. It's kind of hard to hit for the middle. You know what they replaced it with that's super interesting that unfortunately I didn't get a chance to attend personally?
What?
is comedians.
That's what they've done for a few years now. In fact,
Yeah.
I was really upset at the last freaking second, and it was really frustrating. Thankfully, they got someone great to replace her. I think they got Trevor Noah, I think.
Yeah, Chelsea Handler wanted to see her, but it just wasn't with the schedule.
Yeah, I never make it to Inbound Rocks. I never make it to the after stuff just because I'm exhausted, I'm tapped out. And also, last year, I mean, a lot of companies that I had relationships with, or that people who I knew had relationships with, had events. Like Wave. You went to the Wave.video dinner, I saw.
Yes. We actually did a live stream in that. Thanks to our buddy Daniel Glickman, the Chief Marketing Officer, and Katie, their co-founder.
Awesome too.
Wonderful human being and a fantastic communicator. If you guys are not familiar with her work, really just kind of kicked off the night. We went around the table with the gimbal that I'm streaming off of right now, where Mari, and we can put this in the show notes too if you want, she talked about like what are your biggest challenges for video and what kinds of tips do you recommend. And we had a lot of video people, a lot of live streamers from a variety of different kinds of realms. People just gave such amazing answers to that. I loved that moment. It was a really nice little time there. And so many things to do. Also, I actually, if you take a close look at the badge, you'll see in the corner right there, next to my avocado sticker, that as credentialed press this year.
Nice!
I am in the middle, I'm in the middle of writing this up as a story on Grit Daily.
Mm-hmm. I like the name.
Which is, really cool, up and coming, kind of the voice of like Gen Z and millennials as a function of like what happens with brands and news on the web.
Mm-hmm. I keep freezing. I'm not sure if you're freezing or if it's just me. Sorry. Brian, if you can hear me and if you're still rolling, feel free to just do your thing. Keep going. Can anybody let us know if they're seeing anything? Alright, Greg hears me. I hope we can get Brian back. I'm going to see what happened there. My computer is basically just showing Skype is freezing up. Alright, Brian froze this time. So we'll give it a minute. We'll see if he comes back. Inbound is always great. One thing that I'm dying to hear about, and hopefully we'll get Brian back to talk about it. If he can't, then one thing I'll say is that at the past Inbound events I've been to, some of the greatest speakers have been the founders of HubSpot. They always have great stuff to say, Brian and Dharmesh, and I hope to hear from Brian what they talked about. I also had several friends speaking this year who I was sad to miss. Christina Garnett, am I pronouncing your last name wrong? I'm sorry. Christina Garnett and Bella Vasta and Dan Genghis, and there were a few other great speakers who I know personally who I was very sad to miss. Kathy Klotz-Guest, who's going to be a guest on Social coming up. There's always a real variety of people at Inbound, and sometimes there's big names. They've had a lot of celebrities lately. This year they had Jennifer Garner, the actress. They had Janelle Monáe, the singer. Lots of people. They have superstars. They had Katie Couric. Those are on the big stage. But the breakout sessions, it's a really good opportunity to get to know the people who maybe aren't celebrities in a more general population, but who are the rock stars of our industry. Mari Smith, the queen of Facebook, was speaking. So it's a really good indicator of who should be on your radar. And I'm not just saying that because I was one of the speakers last year, because in general, the people who are doing the breakout sessions are people who are probably going to be able to give you the most direct value if you follow them and enter into their world. So I'm going to see what's up now with getting Brian back on Skype. I'm going to see if we can do this. New call. Part of the point of my new setup was to get rid of these technical difficulties. I'm telling him we lost him. In the meantime, I'm also going to tell you, you should absolutely follow... Brian looks surprised at everything I'm saying. I don't know why this isn't working. I'm going to quit Skype and try to bring him back in. But this also seems like a good time to tell you about, this is the new season of Social. I do this every single Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, and I have a guest every week. It's usually someone who's an expert on a specific topic talking about that topic. So next week, we have Rob Balasabas from Thinkific. Thinkific is an e-learning platform for e-courses. I'm going to be coming out with some e-courses myself on that platform, which I'm very excited about. And so we are going to be talking about what makes a good e-course, because there's so many out there. It feels like everyone's launching a course. And of course, not all of them succeed. So what goes into making a good course? The week after that, I'm going to have Troy Sandage, who I met at Social Media Week Lima. He is very energetic. He's awesome. And he's going to be talking about automation and how to make it not replace. Oh, there it goes. How to make it not replace human interaction, but make it better. Because a lot of people think of automation and they think, ooh, impersonal, and it can actually make interactions more personal. Then we have Kathy Klotz-Guest from Be More Human, and she's an improv actress, and she also she uses those skills for kind of how to be playful and how to really come up with great ideas in your marketing, and we're going to be talking about something along those lines. And then after that, I'm having Tiffany Lanier from Live with Tiffany. She's another one I met at Social Media Week Lima, and she's going to be talking about, you can't be everywhere on social media. So how do you figure out what is going to be the best way to bring your real self to social media? What platform should you be on? What kind of content should you be creating? Because everything is a recipe for disaster. So how to figure out what your vibe is and where that belongs, because that's how you're going to be your best on social media. And then closing out the month of October, we have the wonderful Dr. Addison Zhang, who I was thinking of when Brian was talking about the educational speaker, because I is all about education. Classroom Without Walls is her educational, her virtual school that is really gaining steam and momentum all over the world. And we're going to talk about how to start a revolution like that, how to garner support for ideas and really build something using live streaming, because that is something that she has done a lot of. I'm really sad that this kind of turned out to be a bust. I'm trying to recall Brian, and it just doesn't seem to be working. So I think we may just have to call it a day. I think. Yeah, I'm trying to call you back in, Brian. I don't know why it's not working. I think my computer is just pooping out. But anyway, if any one of you went to Inbound this week or to the other big social media conference... Oh, I'm getting a call on Skype. Hey!
I don't know if it'll work this way or not.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working. So he Skyped me on my phone. So you know what? I'm just going to hold that up.
I don't know if this works or not.
I'm just going to hold it up to the camera. And we're going to talk. Alright. So this is Brian. I'm trying to make it so that the... Okay. So he goes over here.
Okay.
It is ridiculous. And there's... Hey, that's not helping. But Brian, in summary, one thing that I did want to get to that we didn't get to is... One thing I really want to talk about is what you gleaned from the keynote by Brian and Dharmesh, the founders of HubSpot, because that has traditionally been my favorite keynote.
One thing I really want to talk about is what you gleaned from the keynote by Brian and Dharmesh, the founders of HubSpot, because that has traditionally been my favorite keynote. I did not get a chance to see that one.
No!
Ask me something else.
Oh, you're fired. Okay, give me one of the breakout sessions that you thought was great.
Okay, I think we fixed the sound.
Okay, so give me one of the breakout sessions, one of the smaller sessions that you attended that you thought was great.
Sure. So, my buddy, well, Alexis, who actually spoke last year too,
wasn't there because there was kind of like a marketing break this year because you had Content Marketing World in Cleveland, then you had Inbound in Boston, and people can't be showing your marketing feature. So, when I was asking her, hey, anybody I should go check out, I didn't get a chance to see him after, but I got to see him in person. He did a great job. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a guy named AJ Wilcox.
AJ Wilcox is great.
Yes. I never saw him speak before, but he did an incredible breakout session about LinkedIn advertising, and like every single slide he had, you just saw the entire crowd like click, 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 like they were just like addicted. That was amazing. Also, as a breakout that I thought was great, for those of you who are not familiar with Larry Kim, the former founder and CTO of WordStream, a very large tech company out of Boston, which he actually was able to get acquired by Ed last year for about $150 million. So he is a content marketing master, and he loves talking about the unicorn and the sea of donkeys.
Yes.
Deeper into that. So he was talking all about like the 3% of your content that rises to the top, how to kind of grow and replicate success. And he always says he's just such an enjoyable guy to watch. He's always like, I'm not that good at talking. I'm like, dude, you get to this whole world. Like, get over it. Like, you've accomplished big things. Larry and I, we go way back. We've known each other for about a decade. We've collaborated on a bunch of infographic projects and stuff. So it's great to see my buddy Larry again.
My favorite thing about Larry's donkey and unicorn thing is he rocked my world at Social Media Marketing World a few years ago because he was talking about advertising, and he said, you want to strap rocket launchers to your unicorns, send them into space. In other words, if you have a post that does well, that's what you want to throw money at. He said, don't send donkeys into space. If a post isn't doing well, it's tempting to like toss money at it and maybe it'll do well. He's like, that's not how you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Strap rocket launchers to your unicorns. Leave your donkeys here on Earth.
Let me say somebody else's words on that too. I feel like everybody's always like, oh, everything that I post is great. Dude, like,
Nope.
nobody's great all the time ever. If you think that I'm so smart, whatever. Listen to a guy like Seth Godin, arguably one of the marketing greats. Great keynote speaker, written a million books, writes really great to the point. Spends like no time on social, which is probably healthier for your brain.
Yep.
But you're going to run a social show.
And he lives right here in the lovely Hudson Valley. He's in Westchester.
So, right, he's right down the street, like Mount Vernon. So, he writes that Seth's blog thing, and it's super short, to the point articles, and what's really cool with all that, once upon a time, he wrote, for everything that you guys see as a blog post, I take like 20 ideas and throw them in the garden. So if one of the marketing greats won for 21, none of y'all are putting out anything good most of the time. Like when I'm on LinkedIn, everybody's like, why didn't you like my post? I'm like, it sucks, that's why. Like, make something better. I'll like it when it's good. So sometimes they see offense, but you know.
I like that. I'm going to do one more quick thing.
Yeah.
Which is, people couldn't really hear you then either. So I'm going to...
Okay.
I'm going to put you in front of my Yeti. If you could just... I'm not going to make you say everything you said already. I guess basically, in summary, what is one reason why you feel like people should go to Inbound, if they should? There's a lot of conferences out there. What's a reason to go to Inbound 20?
That is a fabulous question, Christine. And also, I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn Live at 2 p.m. today to build on what I'm talking about.
Yay!
I feel like, yes, be there. When I'm not traveling, it's consistently Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be talking about a topic that a lot of people will benefit from, so even if you're not watching the live, you can always watch a recap of it. I'm going to be talking about building on the momentum after you go to a momentous event such as Inbound. Because sometimes we all get excited, we climb up the mountain, and then we go back to sleep. So if you're going to do that, don't even go to stuff like this. But I feel like a lot of people becoming known on a national and worldwide scale completely changes the nature of their business, right, Christine? Like,
yeah.
Once you started going there, once you started speaking, people see you on a different level. And I don't mean that from ego, I mean that from personal branding and business branding. You are on a radar
that you're not going to get in your own backyard. This is not meant as a diss to small to mid-sized businesses. If you're like the coffee shop around the corner, whatever, you can participate in the global conversation too. But I'm saying people who can do business anywhere, people who are marketers, I feel like we short ourselves. We sell ourselves short of stuff like this. There's an opportunity to go to a place like Inbound. Like I said, 110 countries, 26,000 people. You're going to see like the who's who elite marketers that you can learn from, that you can network with, and that you can become a known entity in their world, that you are liked and trusted, and potentially you can do business together. So I think if that's not a good enough reason for you, I don't know, like wake up call extraordinaire, but be good enough to show up to the who's who of the world and then continue that momentum, which is a to be continued in the next hour and a half.
I love that. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brian. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. People didn't get to hear a ton of what you were saying, but they hopefully heard enough to be of value.
It's all good. The internet is held together by bubblegum and scotch tape, and everything is in beta. I love that I was kind of stuck in like this shocked look, like you're talking, and it's like, it was amazing.
Yeah, there's going to be some screenshots from this one. But
yes,
thank you so much. Tune in.
My pleasure.
Everyone tune in next. I'm actually going to put Brian away now. Thank you, Brian.
My pleasure, my friend. Thank you for having me on once again.
Okay, and I am going to fix this all by next week. I promise. This is finally my season of technical consistency aside from today. But what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be... So next week, tune in at 12 noon on Friday, Eastern Time. I'm going to have Rob Balasabas from Thinkific, and we're going to be talking about what makes a great online course. So tune in for that, and I am going to leave you with a nice little teaser of the people who are going to be on my show basically now through the end of October. So you're going to want to make sure to mark your calendars for every Friday at noon. Thanks so much.